Web hosting is the activity or business of providing storage space and access to websites. In other words, web hosting is like a space that stores the files for a website and makes them available to view online. So, every website you've ever been on is hosted by a server. There are 3 types of web hosting: shared, dedicated, and VPS hosting. First, there's shared hosting, which is the most basic, cost-effective form of hosting. IBM offers this example of shared hosting being like an apartment. When you live in an apartment, you share services like parking spaces and a laundry room. Well, shared hosting is the same, except instead of an apartment building, it's one shared machine and its resources are made available to all tenants in equal proportions. Then there's dedicated hosting, which offers end users access to all hardware resources of a given server. We can compare this to a single family home where everything, including the property itself, is owned by one single owner. Therefore, dedicated hosting has the greatest levels of isolation, security, performance, and control compared to the other choices. A VPS is like a mix of the two. If we go back to that housing example from IBM, a VPS would be like a condo or townhouse where each occupant has some of their own services, like their own laundry machine and driveway to park their car, but they still share some services like a swimming pool or a health club. A VPS is a single virtual machine on a piece of physical hardware shared with other virtual machines. It offers levels of performance, flexibility, and control somewhere between those offered by shared hosting and dedicated hosting. When choosing a web hosting plan, it all goes back to what you need for your website and what your web hosting provider is offering. First, you'll look at the cost of the plan. How much is each plan, and is it worth the price? When looking at each plan and what it offers, is it a reasonable price for what it's offering? And is it something you can currently afford? Then there's the features. What kind of features does each hosting plan offer? Every web hosting plan has the basic needs to run a website, but the paid plans have additional features that will make it easier for you to manage your site. And the more expensive it is, the more features there will be. The next thing to think about is speed. While many things affect website speed, the web hosting plan you choose is one of those contributing factors. Generally, a user won't stay on your site if it takes longer than 2 seconds to load. And your website speed is also something Google factors in when listing your site on search engine results. Keep in mind that a shared hosting plan, while it is generally the cheapest plan, will only accommodate your site if you're anticipating less than 1,000 site visitors a day. Anything over that and it'll start to slow down your site, causing more people to leave. Then there's the question of support. Does your web hosting provider offer 24/7 monitoring? If your site were to unexpectedly go down, can you get it back up and running quickly? Does your web hosting provider have a support system in place in case your website breaks? If you're using a website for your business, the last thing you want is for it to go down for too long. Lastly, there's scalability. While the plan you choose is more about what you need for your website right now, you also need to think about how your site's needs will change as your site grows. Does your provider give you the ability to grow? Maybe you'll start with shared hosting but upgrade to a VPS or dedicated hosting later. But if your hosting provider doesn't even give you the options, it'll be hard to grow your site. Many website builders offer a free plan that includes web hosting, but there's also the option to pay for web hosting. So why pay for web hosting when you can get it for free? For starters, many website builders offer free plans because it gives them the opportunity to advertise their services on your site. And that extends to the domain name as well. For example, if you get free web hosting with WordPress, your site's URL will end with .wordpress.com instead of just .com. With a paid web hosting plan, your site and domain name will be cleaned from all ads. A paid web hosting plan also provides more security, features, storage, and control over the web hosting environment. It'll also give you more support from your provider support team and more bandwidth space, which will accommodate increased web traffic. When it comes time to buy web hosting, there are a lot of options, and PSP Inc. is one of them. We fully custom built our flagship web and email hosting service, DreamersEye, in-house, giving us full control over the DreamersEye environment and the features we've built for it, making it different than any other web hosting provider. To learn more about our web hosting options, head over to pspinc.com. And for anyone that needs a little extra help getting everything set up, we have an amazing support team waiting for your call.